Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with a Thrifted Thursday video for you. This is a collaboration, Thrifted Thursdays, hosted by Joanna with Joanna's DIY Life and Sabrina with Sabrina's Craft Nanigans. This is thrift flips, yard sale flips, dump finds, makeovers, trash to treasures, anything that you can make thrifty. And this is an open collaboration, and the playlist will be linked in my description box below, along with Joanna's and Sabrina's links to their channels. Let's jump on in. So, first things first, I have a bag of thrifted yarn. I have gotten several bags of yarn at the Goodwill, and we are going to work with this little color scheme on here. And now I have my 12 by 12 piece of board. This is a very thin plywood that I got in a pack of like 25 off of Amazon. I am measuring 4 inches and 4 inches. And now I'm going to flip it to the other side, measure 2 inches, and then every 4 inches. So it'll be 2, 6, and 10. And so now I'm going to go from the corner of my board to that 2-inch mark and draw a straight line. I am creating a template for trees. These are going to be 12-inch tall trees, and I'm really excited to take these downstairs and get them cut out on my little mini saw. And so I'm just drawing the lines so I know exactly where I need to stay when I'm using that little mini saw that I have. The next thing I have is I have it's a 3-piece set of candlestick holders. And here are the wood trees that I cut out. I got those candlesticks at the Goodwill as well, and they are stamped on the bottom with the maker and in India. So they were made in India, and then the crafter's signature is also stamped on there. I am using my wood glue, my Surebonder. Oh, no, not Surebonder, not a hot glue. Type Bond. Oh, there we go. Type Bond wood glue. And I'm gluing all of these wood trees together. And I'm going to come in with my binder clips and clip those down so they'll dry. The inside of these candle holders had some, I thought it was candle wax, but it almost felt like very, very dried floral foam. Here's a picture of what the candlesticks look like before I started getting them cleaned up. So I took them all apart and I sprayed them down, first of all, with some Windex. I wanted to try to get the top grit off of these before I started with any other cleaner. Now I'm going to show you the differences here. I am using Murphy's oil soap. Now that may sound funny to use that on a silver plated item, but this stuff actually cuts grime so well. I'm using a polishing steel wool, and I'm going in with that Murphy's oil soap and just buffing that around and going up and down and all over these pieces. And I'm going to do 2 sets of these with the Murphy's oil soap and clean them. You can see here, look at my dirty, grimy hands as I'm coming in and cleaning that off. These were so dirty. But now I'm just going to come in with some water and I'm going to spritz it down and wipe it down with my microfiber cloth. Now the third set, I'm going to come in with my silver polish. It's just a metal polish. You can use it on silver, brass, nickel, whatever you want to use it on. I am using quite a bit. You don't need this much, but I wanted to work it in there. And I still have another piece of steel wool. And I'm going to come through and buff this out. I have a toothbrush. I use a toothbrush on this. It's a very soft toothbrush. And there you have it. This set cleaned only with the Murphy's oil soap. This set cleaned only with the Flitz polish. This set was done first with the Murphy's oil and then finished up with the Flitz. So it really doesn't matter. I do think this one turned out better. If I wanted these to go in like my china hutch with some candles in it, Then I would go ahead and do a whole nother treatment of the flits on there with the electric toothbrush that I clean. But this is going to be for my rustic Christmas trees, so I don't care. So let's move on to the next step. I just wanted to give you a before and after picture of what these candlesticks look like. This is obviously before I cleaned them up. And then after cleaning and polishing them up, this is what they look like now. What a difference. Oh my goodness, you'd never know those were the same candlesticks. I think they turned out gorgeous, and it just took a little elbow grease. Murphy's oil soap is easy and cheap. So let's move on to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the yarn here and show you what I did. I made little pom-poms. Now this little board is about 2 inches, or for me, it's 3 of my finger widths. So you can use your fingers or whatever you want to do. I wanted something that was going to create a uniform pom-pom. I wrapped with 20 wraps. I may not have done it on this one because I was sharing the process, but I did 20 wraps on each of the little pom-poms I was making. I tied it in a knot, and then I wrapped that yarn around and I tied it again going the opposite way so that I knew that would be nice and tight, because sometimes when you tie the first knot, it doesn't grip real well, but it'll hold there, and then if you flip it around and tie another knot on the other side, it will actually cinch that up nice and tight. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut all the loops, and then I'm going to pull all the loose ends up to one end and put it in between my, in the palm of my hand right there between my forefinger and my thumb, and just trim forefinger. That's my index finger. Um, and I saved all of the extra trimmings off of there, and you'll see why later. So here are all the pom-poms I made, and it took 30 pom-poms per side of the tree. So because it was thrifted yarn, I didn't have any extra. So I was able to do one side of each of these trees. In order to mount them on the little wood stem there from Dollar Tree, I used my wood glue and then tacked a little bit of hot glue on there, set it down so it would hold until I got everything together, and then help secure it more with some more hot glue. So now I'm just coming in with the hot glue and I am laying little dots down, a nice dot, and then I'm going to put the end of that pom-pom into that hot glue. So I put 2 in the center there, and then 1 more on each side. So I put 4 across the bottom. I do believe I came in and put an extra 1 on each side of this particular one because it just wasn't full enough on the bottom for me. But you work your way up, and so I'm going to do another 4 across, and I'm just going to put the hot glue dots sort of close together and then lay the bottom part of that pom-pom right on down into that hot glue. And as I continue doing this, it's building up and becoming thicker as I go right on up this tree. Once I have all the pom-poms on one side of the tree, I'm going to come in and just trim the pom-poms up again. I didn't go all the way up to the tip, but I will fill one in once I get some of this trimmed off here. So I'm just trying to trim this off and give it, I don't want it to look shabby, but I mean, it's going to look shabby, but I didn't want it to just them all be uneven. So I'm coming in and cutting right up the side and then the edge to give it a little curved edge over the pom-poms. I did that on both sides. Excuse me. Whew, had to sneeze. Okay. But I'm going to come on in and trim all this up. And you see I've got that little lid down there catching my little cutoffs. Once again, I'm saving all the cutoffs from my pom-poms and from when I'm trimming these trees. So I just go in with my tall scissors here, my long scissors, and give this a nice little haircut so that it looks like a little shaggy rug. It is so soft and so full, and I just love how this turned out. So I'm just going to continue around trimming up the yarn on this tree. And here is where I added one more pom-pom to the tip of that tree, and I'm coming in and trimming that up to match the rest of the pom-poms that I have glued down. And here are all of the trees, and their back sides are still bare. So I'm going to come in with the fluff that I kept, and I'm just going to use my scissors to come in and snip, snip, snip a little bit more in there in case there's any loose, larger loose pieces, which there are. And it's going to mix this up just a little bit so that we have a good combination of our yarn bits. Now I'm going to come in with some hot glue, and I'm just going to fill that center piece right there to because there was a gap there. And so I just wanted to fill that up, and that way I would have a nice smooth area to get started. Now, I did two different ways on this. The first way I did was with the Titebond Quick and Thick glue, and I'm going to come in here and just kind of get a nice good dab all down there, and I'm going to rub this in with my fingers. Now, I did have to come in and put another coat on after this one dried because it did not grab a hold of all of the fluff that I wanted it to. But I went ahead and just started here and added that on there. And then when that dried, I tilted it over and was able to reuse the pieces that fell off. Here I'm just dumping the excess back on into that tub, and look how bare that tree is. So what I ended up doing is I'm going to come in with a real nice thick coat of my Titebond Quick and Thick. Came back in with a thick coat of this thick and quick and thick, and I piled it on there. You've seen how piled up that was, and I let it sit for almost an hour, and then I came in and dusted it off, and that was much better, but there were still a few bald spots. So I went ahead and cleaned off the loosey-gooseys here, and I'm going to trim off some of those long ones that didn't get chopped up. And I just decided I'm going to use my hot glue to fill in the bald patches because obviously it would take way too long, and I'm impatient. So the hot glue on the wood and with these little fabric yarn pieces was fine. I just came in, dropped some hot glue in those holes, laid that fiber right on over it and pressed it right on in, and then I was able just to wipe it off because it's hot glue. It was that quick. So with the other trees, I just used hot glue. I wasn't going to mess with the Titebond for this process, and look how easy that's coming together. I went ahead and I take it, I pull the yarn back to the front, lay down some hot glue and put it all across one section, and then press it right on down in there and use the palm of my hand. There is enough of those yarn scraps between me and the hot glue, I don't even feel it. And that way it presses that hot glue to spread out, and then it grabs those yarn pieces, and it's perfect. After taking all that time to scrape out what was ever in the bottom of those candle holders, I'm adding hot glue in there. I wanted to add some hot glue into the bottom to give a little filler, and then I'm pressing it around the bottom of that little stump and up the edges a little bit, and then I will place it into that warm glue inside the candle holder. Then I will come in with the hot glue and fill in all around the edge of my little stick. And this is going to give me a sturdy base for these trees to stand up in that candle base. Once they are all in there, I found some really pretty older vintage ribbon style. It's not older. I've had it for a few years, but it's definitely not antique. But it's a crocheted thick ribbon. And I tied that around the tree trunk. And then I have this brown ribbon, and I'm going to come in and tie that around one of the other stumps on the tree, the little tree trunk, on the center one. So the one that's the mid size, because each of these candlesticks are a different size. So I thought this would break it up just a little bit, and we'll tie that on there nice and loosey. And then I'll trim off the bottoms so that they're hanging a little off kilter from each other. And then I put another ribbon on the last one. Here you have it. Oh my goodness, look at how adorable those turned out. They're so tall and lush, and I just love the different shades of the green on there. Those candlesticks turned out beautiful, and I just think it is, they're a gift, but I want to keep them. Oh my goodness, it's terrible. I know I can't keep everything I make. But it's so hard to get rid of stuff that you just fall in love with. Now, we have to remember that these are double-sided, and so let's take a peek at the back side. Which side is your favorite? Do you like the the real plush part where all the pom-poms, or the one with the multicolor on this side here where they're all about the same? Those ribbons will turn around. They did not glue, so you can actually just twist them. That one was a little tighter. I had a little harder time twisting that one around. But yeah, I didn't glue them on, so they can be moved around to the front of the trees. Guys, if you like these, please give me a thumbs up. If you like this type of video, give me a thumbs up. Doing the thrift flips or the trash to treasure, I really am impressed with the way those candlesticks turned out from the beginning to the end. But these trees are simply gorgeous. All right, y'all. If you've not subscribed, I hope you will consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification, and YouTube should notify you when my next video has gone live. As always, guys, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.